Hi, Dr. Huff. This is Jason Huff, and I'm about to give you my persuasive speech. Let me show you my cards and audience members first. So there are my cards. And my audience members today are Happy Ice Cream Cone and the Purple Minion. Give me just a second to get set up, and I'll start my persuasive speech momentarily. Being the adopted child in a family can be a struggle. You sometimes have no vote in family situations, ranging from the movies to the family's pick to where the family wants to eat. Essentially, the adopted child often has to conform to the vote of the rest of the family until they are fully accepted and become a part of the overall whole. Welcome to the struggle Puerto Rico has had with the United States of America. Today, I will be discussing with you why Puerto Rico should be the 51st state of the Union. First, I will talk about the problem of partial U.S. citizenship all Puerto Ricans have and how this affects their voting rights, taxes, and military service. Second, I will analyze the cause of the problem by looking at the history of how Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory and how this led to their partial U.S. citizenship. For the third and final point, I will present to you a solution on why they should be full U.S. citizens and who to contact to have your voice heard. The problem of Puerto Rico not having statehood is threefold. First, according to the United States, all people born in Puerto Rico are citizens of the United States. What people don't know is that they don't have the right to vote for the president, they don't have a voting voice in Congress, but they serve in the United States military. With information gathered by Eileen McNamara on October 9, 1999 for the AP Online, McNamara outlines about how Puerto Ricans' U.S. citizenship is only a statute. What this means is they are not fully naturalized citizens, and even those trying to enter the mainland U.S. are on a case-by-case basis. Second, Pedro Pierluisi is Puerto Rico's lone representative in Congress. While he is able to serve on projects and help on bills, he does not have a vote for the 4 million citizens he represents in Puerto Rico. In an article written by Mr. Pierluisi for the Washington Times on November 19, 2013, Mr. Pierluisi informs us that Puerto Rico is bigger than 21 states, and the U.S. government has collected more than $3.5 billion from individual and federal income tax from 2012 to the writing of the article. But they cannot participate in national votes. Last, in an interview conducted by Mandeli Del Marco for NPR, accessed on November 3, 2015, she interviews the family of Staff Sergeant Jesus Montalvo, who tragically died in Iraq in 2006. Staff Sergeant Montalvo was born in Puerto Rico and believed in the United States so much that he was willing to give his life for his country. However, Montalvo was never allowed to vote for the presidency of this country, even though he gave his life protecting our nation. The cause of this problem is rooted in the history of how the United States acquired Puerto Rico. First, in 1898, Puerto Rico became controlled by the United States during the Spanish-American War. After the conflict, the Treaty of Paris was signed. Spain agreed to give Puerto Rico to the United States in the terms agreed upon in the treaty. Second, as a territory, it was given limited rights. With information obtained from Charles R. Venator Santiago from the Centro Journal on April 1, 2013, from the time we first acquired Puerto Rico, it has not been recognized or protected by the 14th Amendment in the Constitution. The 14th Amendment, accessed from the Library of Congress at loc.gov on November 30, 2015, was ratified on July 9, 1868, and granted citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States. This is the amendment that Mr. Santiago states is a precondition for constitutional equality. Third, this allows the United States government to get around the 14th Amendment with Puerto Rico because our government classifies them as a non-incorporated area. Only incorporated areas are protected by the 14th Amendment. With information gathered by Lisa Marie Perez in the Virginia Law Review, June 2008, Mrs. Perez informs us that far territories such as Puerto Rico have been cheated by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has used the distance of the U.S. territories such as Puerto Rico against them, arguing that because they are so far from the mainland, they cannot be designated as an incorporated area. The solution to help Puerto Rico become the 51st state in the Union has two key parts. First, it is important to acknowledge that Puerto Rican people want this. With information gathered by Laura Wides Munoz for the AP Newswire, accessed November 30th, 2015, Munoz writes about a recent poll in Puerto Rico asking questions about statehood. With a little over half of the voters wanting to reject being a territory, 60% of those voted that they would prefer to be a state. Second, now knowing that the majority prefer to be a member of the Union, it is now time for you to take action. In order to take action, I implore you to contact our state representatives to the Senate, Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein, and encourage them to create a bill to promote Puerto Rican statehood. This is our best chance for Puerto Rico to be the 51st state in the Union. Rather than putting the burden of change on a few states, the nation can have one voice for Puerto Rico. To summarize, we talked about the limitations Puerto Ricans have with only having partial citizenship. Second, we talked about the history of Puerto Rico and how the 14th Amendment does not apply to them. Last, we learned that Puerto Ricans want to be a member of the Union and who to contact to make a difference. In conclusion, Puerto Rico has paid taxes, fought, and died for their country. It is our turn to include our adopted brothers and sisters from Puerto Rico and give them an equal voice in the American family as the 51st state of the Union. Thank you.